All right. Good afternoon. Welcome. It is 4:30 p.m. Central Time. It is office hours here on the Academy. Hello, Andrew. How are you, good sir?
Oh, not too bad. It's Wednesday afternoon. Always
Yes.
happy for that. Trying to stay caffeinated still to get through the rest of the evening. But all is well. How are you doing?
I'll do a +1 on that comment. So, likewise, all is good.
That's good. Good.
Yeah. So, we usually spend some time sharing news from the week. So, what news have you?
I have a few things, and like we were talking about before we hopped on here, I feel like it's only a snippet of like a very busy community the last week, I'll say, which is amazing to see. But I do have a few things I'd like to share.
Oh, I should be sharing your screen. That's the gist of it.
Yes, that
All
would be
right,
great.
I'll do it.
All right. You did it. Thank you.
Practiced. Yeah.
All right. First thing that I came across, and I think that we mentioned this when it was first released a couple of months ago, but Sandy Zhang and our friend Johan over at Cloudway and MS Endpoint Manager have released a new version of the IntuneDiff tool, which is a website, IntuneDiff.com. And I should say, I think this is Sandy's tool, and Jan, to his credit, helped Sandy improve it a little bit with version 2.0.2. Actually, now I think it was 2.0.1 just a few minutes ago. Anyways, back to the tool. With this tool, you can connect to your to Microsoft Graph in your tenant and actually compare policies that you have with baselines. So, for example, if we wanted to look at one tool versus or one profile versus another. So if I had, I'm just going to pick two random ones. I don't know if this is going to totally work for a quick demo, but if I pick two different policies, we can go ahead and compare these policies and get some information out of them. Like, are there any conflicts? Which is one of the things that I'm absolutely looking for. Do I have conflicts between my policies? Because as it turns out, we have a lot of similar policies that we need to assign in out to our devices. So super useful tool here. I'm happy to see this new version come out. I know one of the major things that Sandy mentioned in this is that it has been rebuilt. The code has been rebuilt, so it is very fast, as you can see here. Just really fantastic stuff, and it's usable. It looks nice too. I like when a tool looks nice as well. Take a little bit of time to do that. Another post that I came across late last week is a fantastic resource from Benoit over at System Center Dudes. It is a list of Intune community tools for 2025. Several of these tools we have showcased on office hours many times. But there were some new ones, even to me in here, Johan, that I had not really seen or hadn't really seen. So there's some fantastic stuff in here. I absolutely recommend checking this page out. Intune Log Reader, something I want to check out. IntuneDiff is in here. Intune assignment reports, so tools from UGR that we've put out here. The IntuneDiff tool that we just mentioned. What else is in here? A whole bunch. Oh, this one I wanted to mention too. I think I called out to you at one point, Johan. Where'd it go? Automatically set the time zone in Intune Autopilot. What a useful feature that the community has put forth here. And an Intune registry builder. which I thought sounded very cool. So the registry builder will help if you have registry entries that you want to modify with a remediation, for example. This registry builder will help you create the scripts to set registry keys or create registry keys the way that you specify here. So very, very cool stuff. Also, major update from Martin Bankston. He has a toast notification script that has been out there for some time. As you can see on his most viewed posts here, it's a popular one, I'll say. This tool is used very widely to pop up custom toast notification scripts or toast notifications with a script on users' devices. So you can do things like pending reboot notifications, weekly reminders for something, whatever that reminder needs to be for your users. But since it's PowerShell, it's extensible, and you can customize these notifications however you see fit. So he rewrote this for version 3, and it is now for Intune, fully supported in Intune. So would recommend checking this out as well. Also came across a new post earlier today from Damien, which was very timely for me. So I've been playing around with Azure Automation quite a bit over the last week or so. Azure Automation, for if you aren't aware, is basically an automation service in Azure. So it's a clever name, where we can schedule and run scripts at its simplest. But there are several different things that we have to configure. We have to manage PowerShell modules. We have to determine which version of PowerShell we want to run. We have to set up our schedules. There are different ways of connecting to resources like Graph with Azure Automation. So I've been fully aware of Azure Automation for a long time. I think we've put quite a few posts from Damien actually around Azure Automation here on Office Hours, but I haven't really gotten into it deeply myself. Long way of saying I'm doing that now. So this post was timely though. I was starting to wonder, all right, what if I have an Azure Automation workbook or a runbook rather that I want to be able to call another runbook? Well, Damien to the rescue. He must have been reading my mind because he put a post on how to do that. So you can basically create modules of your runbooks. Take your runbooks, make them into modules, and they can call each other.
Nested task sequences, but runbooks.
There you go. I like that. That's absolutely the case. So looking forward to trying this out. This was, I think this was posted earlier today. So this is great. Last but not least, came across this post. Apparently there were some Windows 10 devices out there that were not enrolling into the extended security updates program. If you have those in your organization, Microsoft released an out-of-band update yesterday, it looks like, to correct that. I don't believe this is an issue everywhere, but if you are experiencing this issue in your organization, check this out. There may be a patch that you need to deploy to your devices. So even for it being a small snippet of what we've seen over the last week, I still feel like that's a lot of really great community solutions and updates this week. That was what I had.
All right then, let me go ahead and share my screen then. How's yours? All right, so first up, very proud, but on our Academy, we have just posted a community course. Let me open up in incognito. You actually see the right price for it. But this is something we put together, Andrew and I, next week, Thursday, I guess, morning. if you know anyone who is new into Microsoft IT or Microsoft infrastructure technologies, ConfigMgr, Intune, deployment, anything Microsoft really, send them our way. This is our way of giving a crash course in what I probably would have wanted to know 30 years ago, starting in IT, fresh out of pretty much college, or at least a part of college that I didn't attend. But anyhow, a crash course, hour and a half long into Microsoft infrastructure. So very happy to get that one published. So get that link, of course, over to you later. And speaking of community tools, at some point, I mean, I've been part of the group forever, but there is a LinkedIn group. No, thank you. 50,000 members focusing on modern management or modern endpoint management. So ConfigMgr, Intune, and others. They have a community tools area where they have been publishing some new stuff. So I'm not going to go through every of those because we'll be here until morning. But you probably recognize a couple of these. Matthias tool we've been working on or used many times. So highly recommend that one. And then, of course, also a friendly reminder to those of you that unfortunately are on Windows 11 Pro, that 23H2 of Pro goes out of support, well, yesterday. So better upgrade to something more recent. Then Mr. John Towles over at WP Ninja US announced that they are launching or having up to 15 sessions, mentoring sessions at WP Ninja in Dallas, where you basically can book a one-on-one session with the speakers, pretty much like other conferences done, like phishing sessions and what are the other name, stargazing sessions and whatnot. So I like that. It's a good addition. So just want to highlight that one. Then I have scribbled down the ESU bug that you already mentioned. And then, of course, Anders over at MS Endpoint Manager. I don't think you shared this one, did you?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he put together a fairly long but detailed post covering the new sync options or sync mechanisms that Intune is using to some extent. They will be using more of in the future. So this is basically like a Rudy Owens blog post without the debugger. So a lot of details related to this. And Anders, for those of you that don't know him, fellow Swede, I've known him for quite some time. He was almost 20 years with Microsoft and recently joined Ericsson together with Nikolai Anderson, one of the longtime community champions as well. And Ericsson is one of the largest Intune-only customers that I know of in the world. So they have about 100,000 clients managed Intune only, including feature updates and whatnot. So pretty cool stuff, I think. Then this one here, Adam Cook over at PatMyPC. Just want to give you a heads up if you're using Power Automate and Webhooks and they're using that with Teams. There are some changes that have been announced recently and they will take effect here in November 30. So still a couple of days to get things fixed, but there we are. And then a office hour session would not be an office hour session without some cool hardware announcement, but stumbled across this little friend. A mini workstation based on ARM. And came in two different flavors, but I mean, it's money. I get that, but it's not $3,000 either. So quite reasonable, I'd say, and it has 10 gigabit Ethernet. So,
Yeah, that looks pretty cool.
I'm putting that on my Christmas request list. Hopefully. And speaking of hardware, I just laughed out loud seeing this one, but I think it was pretty spot on. Track it pacer over at on Twitter. I love that text.
Oh yeah, I saw you share that. That was hilarious.
Yeah. Extra feature, I guess. And back to MS Endpoint Manager again. Jose Shenarde, or I say, published a very detailed post on how to set up connected cache, the standalone connected cache, but not as you normally would. This is leveraging, and I thought it was brilliant. It is using Autopilot with self-deploying mode to push out basically a cache server, fully configured. Nice. We like.
Pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yep. And we had from the same group, they have been, as you said, extremely active. But I just want to share this one. Ben Whitmore posted a little bit about the API rate limits. So if you do a lot of scripting and they don't cooperate, it's a very detailed post, but I learned some new stuff. I didn't know all of these different limits that exist, like 100 requests per tenant per minute or per user or per app, and a global limit of, well, a little bit more. I think I'm good in my little, 6-user tenant, but
no, it's good. I actually hadn't seen that documented either. And you and I often show a few scripts that we talk about. Don't overuse this script, but I don't think we ever had any real numbers to put to that. That's amazing.
Yep. Thank you, Ben, for sharing. Appreciate it. And then finally, I stumbled across a nice PowerShell script from Lenovo, replacing their own older BIOS tool that they had. So I could not try it out. So I found myself a Lenovo, or a commandeered one, as it's called. Here, this is a ThinkPad X1, it is. But anyhow, I installed the script. I installed a PowerShell module to do the BIOS configuration, and I also installed Graph because the tool has the ability to create apps in Intune from the script. So first of all, I'm just going to open and show you the script. It is version 2.0.2, but it feels like very much version 1. I'll explain why in a little bit, but it works well. Some improvements that can be done, though. It is a signed script, so that is good that I did that. But anyhow, if I open up a PowerShell prompt, and I'm just going to snatch the name of that script. I put it in the path earlier when installing it, so it will find it. So it will read this machine. I tried to run it on my HP. It didn't work, surprisingly. But it reads the configuration I have on this machine here. Again, an X1. And I can, of course, change these values. And then when I'm done with it, I can generate an INI file. So I can have a passphrase if I want. I don't need to right now, but I'm going to put that in my temp folder. I had one before that I was using. So I'm going to call this one demo2 here and save it. So now that INI file has this BIOS configuration that I have here on the screen saved. And then I go to Actions, and I have the ability to create an Intune package. And when doing so, I have to specify the INI file that I want to create it from. So I'm going to pick the one I used. Again, if I had a fast phrase, I would need to put it in here. I give it a version name. I'm going to use a different tag than last time, and then create a package. And it will now prompt me for the content prep tool. So I put the content prep tool in this folder here. So I'm just going to specify that one. and it says package being built. Would you like to upload to Intune now? Yes, thank you very much. And I got prompted for username and password the first time I ran it. And they didn't quite get the syntax here right, I think, in the script, because I'm assuming that should be yellow, but it doesn't show. And also I expected the script to, in preferences, be able to specify where my content prep tool was. I don't have to locate it every single time, but they don't. But long story short, this one will create an application in Intune together with the remediation script. Yeah, it's going to allow that one to finish. Last time I tried it was fairly quick. I mean, the packet is not very big, but well, Intune is Intune, so we may have to wait for this one just a little bit. And there we are. So now, as you can see here in preferences, there is no way to specify where the content prep tool is. I kind of expected that to be there. But if I go to my Intune tenant now, that is not my Intune tenant. Here is my Intune tenant. Go to Applications, Windows in this case, search for Lenovo. If I can spell Lenovo. Here is my 1.1 version of the BIOS configuration package created. And if I go over to Devices and to Scripts here, am I blind? There. Remediations, you can see that I also got a script created that I can deploy or assign, as it's called in Intune. So basically a traditional remediation discovery type script, similar to what HP does, Dell does. It's nice to have that available. So thank you, Mr. or Mrs. Lenovo, for putting that one together. Very, very nice. All right. That was all I had in terms of news.
That's great stuff. Well, we do have some questions that have come in as well.
Nice.
First one is from Zach, asking if Sandy's tool works offline if I supply my configuration. I will never get approval to create that Entra app. And the answer is yes. That is one of the features that was added in version 2.0. If you don't mind sharing my screen, Johan, I can show that.
I do not mind, sir.
And the first thing that I wanted to show is I'm not, well, I might be crazy, but not that crazy. It was a new version literally released today. So I knew I saw 2.0.1. Second of all, if you go over to the JSON method right here, there are a few steps to make this work, but there's a step-by-step guide to go into the developer tools in your browser and select the specific request for a configuration profile, and you'll get a JSON response out of there. The thing with the tool, though, is that you'll have to save that JSON file and then host it somewhere, whether it's on a web page or something like that, or you can upload it to Azure Blob Storage and authenticate here through the tool. But this is the way that we can do that right now. I did not see any way to directly add the JSON response in the tool. But this will allow you to do that without actually authenticating to Entra. So pretty awesome stuff.
All right, then.
All right. And Matthew's got a question here. Still having issues with round robin on management points. I think we talked about this a little bit last week because Matthew mentioned he's checked all the boundaries, all the boundary groups. They all look good, no overlapping groups. We see attempting to retrieve default management point, it will find DSN record of all management points on port 443. Then look up the MP from DSN, find them all, HTTPS is enabled, and then there's a failed HTTP send request with an error code. Then a whole bunch more error codes, and then it loops over and over and over. This all seems to have started after we set up CMG.
Well, Dan, one of the community members here in the chat, did mention to check if the CMG is part of a boundary group.
Oh, yep.
It doesn't need to be. The client will find it directly anyway, assuming these are for internet-only clients. So maybe check that. Otherwise, I'm afraid that will have to basically be a troubleshooting session. That is too complex of an error to just nail in a little office hours question, I think, unfortunately.
Yep.
But maybe check that first. And if there is one in the boundary group or groups, remove it, at least temporarily, and try it again and see if that solves the problem. Because the trick with the CMG is that you don't have to have boundary groups. If your client is marked as internet only, it will find the content from the management point in Azure, meaning the CMG itself.
All right. Just a couple of comments here I'm seeing in the chat. Mike O'Leary used the toast notification from Martin Bankston script. Martin Bankston that script a lot. Yep.
Yeah, I didn't mention that before, but I actually looked it up when it was created the first time.
Yeah.
July 3rd, 2020. So over 5 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. There must have been 20 versions. I was going through the changelog.
Yeah.
A lot. So he's been busy.
I'll say. It's an incredible resource.
Oh, yes.
I see our friend Richard Hicks is in here. Looks great on the mini course that we have next week. Richard will be joining us, which is fantastic. Looking forward to that as well.
You can guess which topic we assigned him to. VPN.
Oh, I thought you were going to say OSD. See Zach's comment here too. Someday when ConfigMgr retires and Gary needs to move on, he'll be interested in Azure Automation child runbooks. Yeah,
that is true.
All right. Oleg's got a question around app deployment. Why does ConfigMgr and Intune evaluate and detect each available app before proceeding with the install of the app that I clicked to install? Having 30 plus winget apps with detection scripts, and it's taking 10 minutes.
Nothing that comes to mind why it would take so long. Especially Config Manager is pretty much instant evaluating those scripts. Intune I can take a lot of time, but Config Manager should be pretty quick. So, I can't think of a reason why it would take 10 minutes to run the script after it's been basically available to the client. It's usually instant.
Yeah, I can't say that I've noticed that either.
I mean, the various app logs in the Windows CCM logs folder might give you a clue, but I have not seen that happening in Config Manager.
All right. Tim's got a question on Autopilot here on YouTube. Is it expected that required apps via Intune, all users, run at the same time as ESP, or should those run after the user logs on?
If they're assigned to either the same group as your deployment profile is, or I've seen a few customers also assigning it to all devices, which is obviously all devices would not recommend, but I've seen that. Yes, they will be installed during the ESP phase. You will see that in the UI. It will say basically installing app 2 out of 5 or whatever, how many you have. So that is expected.
All right.
Good question.
Yeah, understanding the nuances of app installs during Autopilot is an art form. It was a great question, absolutely. Matthew just had a follow-up comment here. CMG is not part of any boundary group. It is for clients on VPN and in Office. I figured it would be a tough one. Also, management points not enabled to allow CMG traffic.
And no, that nothing that comes out I can think on the top of my head.
No.
Why it's acting that way? That would have to be like a remote troubleshooting session of something to be able to figure that one. I think.
All right. Got a question here. I don't know if you have an answer for this one, Johan, but will Maurice Daly ever revive the driver automation tool?
Yes. Last time I spoke with him, he was working on a version 8, but I didn't get any more details than that. Basically a complete rewrite of the tool. It has been updated for 25H2, not the automation tool, but the download script. Windows 11, that is. But I don't have any other information. I can ask him and find out where it's at and report next week.
Sounds good. All right. So Matt's got a question here. Let me make sure because this came through as a few messages. I just want to make sure I have them here. So in ConfigMgr, many times they have machines that go unhealthy. They just stop patching from SCCM. First thing we try to do is uninstall and reinstall the agent. That's successful for a little bit. For many others, I made a task sequence that deletes software dist, dism component cleanup, dism restore health, and SFC scan now. Rarely does this result in much success. Is there a better method or known community script that is better than what we've been trying? I hate to have to reimage a machine or rebuild a VDI machine that is otherwise running fine.
Well, the short answer is yes. I'm gonna steal screen for a second. I was just checking up the version of the driver automation tool there. We put together a blog post a little while back regarding a holistic approach to ConfigMgr client health. In that post, in the very end, I have a reference to a community solution from Anders Rödland that is quite popular. A lot of organizations are using this one. This solution is a PowerShell script and an XML file that configures what happens with that script. And you typically deploy it as or through group policies. So if I close that one and go over to not that server, but my domain control over here. So I have a First of all, I have a preference that will download the script together with the config file to the clients. And then I have another preference that creates a scheduled task that runs that script. And at the very least, runs it once a day. A lot of organizations are running it once a day plus at startup of the device, because you can set that as a trigger. And if I go to one of the devices that happen to have it, this one here, this is what the XML file looks like. It tells you what version of the client it wants. And you will also see that there is a bunch of different checks that you can enable. And some of them you can also fix. So if the script detects that, for example, hardware inventory is not okay, it forces a full hardware inventory on that device, because that is one of the best ways to get a broken hardware inventory back on its feet again. So that one is a good community solution. It does have an optional database that you can enable. Just please note that if you do, and you're using the ConfigMgr database for it, you need to have a license for it. But that client health database is so small, so you can just run it in SQL Express. Even in large environments, it's going to be a couple of 100 megs. And a SQL Express instance can be 10 gig. And you can have 32,000 of those instances. So you're good, I think. So that's what I would recommend to start with, to keep clients healthy.
All right. I do see Matt followed up that he's running the script already, but I wonder if they're showing up as unhealthy from time to time. Digging into the logs a little bit, it's not a super helpful answer, but
I mean, sometimes an uninstall and reinstall is not enough. Sometimes you practically have to nuke the ConfigMgr client from orbit. You usually do not have to re-image the device. But we do have on our Academy, on our GitHub repository, have shared a script somewhere. Yeah, this script here. Remove ConfigMgr client completely. And it does exactly what it says. So it doesn't just run the uninstall, but it also goes ahead and then deletes all services, files and folders that need to go, WMI namespaces that need to go, classes that need to go. So maybe try that in your test environment first, of course.
Of course. All right. Got a question here. I suppose this could be, I assume Intune because it's talking about filters, but I guess it could be Intune or ConfigMgr. Do you think they could add filters to dependencies? I need to create the same application twice to support two different dependencies, but I cannot use filters when creating my app.
That is definitely Intune. I have not heard of anything on being on the roadmap for that, so I don't know.
No. I think with apps, can you use filters for anything other than the assignments?
That's what I've been using filters for. So
yeah. Okay. And just real quick, we've got a couple of other questions here, but I thought this would be worth commenting. It's about Matt's client issue. Mike said that he's found that performing a client policy reset via WMI can help bring clients back in line, even those on which you've already gone scorched earth. Doesn't make sense, but it's worked many times in our environment.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it, but if you have either PowerShell or if you install the support tool, because starting with ConfigMgr 1802, like 6-7 years ago,
Yeah.
In the install folder, in the tools section, you have the support center tool. And if you install that on the client, it can be run remotely also, but if you install that on the client and head over to your policy, of course you can load your current policy, etc. But this one have that ready-made here to reset policy to default. It will take a good 20 minutes for that machine to come back. But that is a great point. That one can be used to convince a device to like start over. Oh, good share. Good. Thank you for that.
Right. Robert's got a question. Oh, did you have something else, Johan?
Oh, sorry.
Oh, sorry. All right. Robert's got a question. Could you please recommend a blog covering Intune as a real step-by-step? Let's say how a small organization can deploy enterprise-grade protection using Intune. 2 follow-ups already. One from Robert who mentions, of course, ViaMonstra Academy would be a first step. I think we'd agree to that statement.
Yes, that we are slightly biased on the topic, but we do have courses covering that on the Academy. In terms of blog posts that will take you through the entire setup, I saw something from System Center dudes a while back. I would recommend looking into this one here that we have shared many times. One of the most shared links we have, but the Open Intune Baseline project has this, lovely starting kit with configurations that you can start with. So that, together with a guide that get you going, I'll say it's a good starting point. So you can just import all of these into your tenant, and then you start to assign them to test groups with your clients. Just importing them is not going to do anything. You have to go ahead and assign them for them to take effect. SAC is absolutely brilliant, spot on as well. We have our friends over at Intune.training, remarkably good videos, and their price is just right because they're all free. Hundreds and hundreds of hours of Intune training available. Adam and Steve and a couple of others are doing a downright amazing job on that platform. So thank you for sharing that.
Oh, absolutely agree. All right. Got a question here over on YouTube around Intune. Have you tried updating Windows ADMX policies in Intune from the old 23H2 OS without deleting the old policies? I get a conflict when adding newer Windows ADMX.
You can see the assignment is causing conflict if it's still active, but I haven't had a need to delete any old ones. Maybe. I haven't used that feature too much, but that could very well be the case. If someone else happened to know, let us know, but I would not be surprised if that is the case.
And same, I haven't used it often, just for a couple of small things, browsers, Citrix Workspace. But in the case of the Windows policies themselves, generally, I've just been waiting for things to hit the settings catalog. I think you mentioned a couple of weeks ago, Johan, that 25H2, or many of the 25H2 policies showed up in the settings catalog.
And the 6 of them, yes.
Yeah.
But who's counting?
Exactly.
that guide that I was referring to. No. It's a guide to upgrades. What the heck? Boggles. It's usually a bird, squirrel, coyote, or
Yeah.
Amazon driver.
Oh, are they getting excited back there?
Yes.
I actually didn't hear them come through, surprisingly.
Good for you.
Yeah, you hear them all right.
Very, very clear, yes.
I haven't heard Kylo snoring behind you recently.
No, he's not there today, so he's up doing some shenanigans, I bet.
Yeah. I was trying to look for something. I thought at some point Niall did some Intune posts similar to his ConfigMgr setup, but maybe I'm making that up. I know he did some Windows 365 posts that were fantastic.
Yeah, together with
Paul.
With Stanley, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, really, really great posts if you're using Windows 365.
I'm assuming you're referring to these guys.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up on screen, so I'm not just talking without context.
Yeah, Niall is a bit of an overachiever, to put it mildly, but see if I can go back to that guide link he had. He has written a lot of guides.
Yeah, thank you. That was the post I was looking for.
Here are the Intune ones. Oh, yeah. I'd say this would be a good start as well as any.
He's done a couple.
Couple here.
I think I just used up all my sarcasm for the day.
Yes, I mean, there are hundreds of them.
Talk about community jewel. He is one himself.
An interview with him just a little while ago.
Yeah.
I want to share that one. Might have been here. Let's see. Could have been on the Academy site too. No, there it is.
Mm-hmm. Last year.
Yeah. I'll share that link as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Oof. I see Zach mentioned Hot Patch was as advertised this month. Baseline last month in October, Hot Patch this month, no reboot required. Awesome.
I saw both. I saw folks getting exactly that they were hoping for, and I saw folks that didn't. Apparently .NET was involved into that mix and required a reboot.
Yeah,
which it normally doesn't, so I didn't get it, but
well, and that's why he did have a follow-up here that .NET Desktop Runtime 8 and 9 did not require a reboot, but killed his Citrix Workspace session to update.
Well, you give some, you lose some.
Yep. That's good.
Yeah, I'm gonna put that up. That's what I
Have
like
you
to see.
assigned? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
When it works, it's beautiful.
Yeah, I was going to ask if you had assigned those policies in your lab at all yet.
Oh, I didn't dare.
Give myself some homework. I suppose I should do that as well. I have every other patching policy assigned. Hot patch policy assignment.
I mean, it's probably worth mentioning that if you have enabled other updates like drivers and firmware, they have their own schedule. They will reboot on their own schedule. So. All right. Anything else? We still have a whopping 8 minutes.
Make sure I didn't miss anything here.
I was looking too. I don't think we did.
Not out of the ordinary, but we did have some fantastic questions and comments today.
Agree. All right, then. I don't see any other questions coming in, so I guess we can. Hey, thank you so much for everyone that joins. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you for the good spirit in between you guys during the session and helpfulness. Like it. Love it.
Couldn't agree more. Thank you, Johan. Thank you, everybody, for joining.
All right. See you next Wednesday.